All right, so at the top of your paper, I do want you to write down our explicit formula. If you missed yesterday, then this right here is going to look like Chinese to you. So A sub n equals A1, plus the difference, and then n minus 1. So that was our explicit formula. And if you remember, this A sub n is kind of like a y. Okay, the n is just like x. And we're replacing the A1 and the difference with numbers to create this equation. Now today, I'm hopefully going to introduce you to the recursive formula. The recursive formula is useless, except for one little thing. So this A sub n is just like this A sub n. It's kind of like y. And then it's got this really weird A sub n minus 1. And what I always try to tell kids about this is, remember when we were talking about f of x and stuff, that it's really just kind of like a name? Well, this is like a terrible nickname. So imagine like you see some big guy and you go up to him and go, hey, you got a nickname? And he's like, yeah, I'm Mr. Tickles. And you're like, what, Mr. Tickles? That's terrible. Well, that's kind of what this is. This is like a terrible nickname. So anytime we see this terrible nickname right here, the only thing we care about is at the end. And that's this plus D right here. Okay. And so today we're going to create a few of these just so that you can see the D at the end. But we're not going to see any real questions. So maybe next week we'll see some questions that involve this right here. All right. So I just want to make sure everybody's got that written down real quick. And we will get started. All right, I'm going to clear this. All right, question 1. So today they're giving us the A1, which is the very first number, and they're giving us the difference. Okay, so I believe this is what they gave us yesterday, and all we're going to do is start by creating the explicit formula. So this is what we did yesterday. We said A sub n. So this is what you'll write down for number 1, the explicit formula. A sub n is equal to, and then we plug in A1, which is negative 30. And then minus 3. So that's the difference. And then n minus 1. So this is what we did yesterday. We just kind of practiced plugging this in right here. All right. So once we have this, then we can go plug this into the Desmos. Now, yesterday we kind of made our pattern based off this information, and we kind of wrote some numbers down. Today, we're going to still create that pattern, but we're going to write this pattern in a table form. Okay, and we're just going to let the Desmos do the pattern for us. So we're going to go to the Desmos, and we will reset this. All right, so if y'all remember this yesterday, we did the A sub n is your y equals, and then minus 30, minus 3, parentheses, x minus 1. So we can't use n, we got to use x. And then we don't care about the line because we want to be plugging stuff in. And so we go to this settings bar right here, the settings button, and click on the table. And I'm going to get rid of this for just a second so that we can see. There we go. All right, now I know this starts at -2, but we start at 1. So remember that the numbers always start with the first number. So 1 is where we're going to start. And it said that A sub 1 was -30. So notice right here, the number 1 was negative 30. And then we're going to do our pattern just with this table. So we're going to go 3, 4, 5. And you can see our pattern right here. Negative 30 was the first one, negative 33, negative 36, negative 39, negative 42. I'm going to go write this down, so I need you to make this table real quick. I don't care if you use n and a sub n or x and y, because it's the same thing. And we started with negative 30, because that was a sub 1. So this 1 right here is our very first number. And then it's going by 3, so negative 33, negative 36, negative 39, and negative 42. And we got all those numbers just from that table. So yesterday we wrote it out. Don't write this. I'm just going to show you what we did yesterday. Yesterday we wrote it like this. And today we're writing it in a table form. But it's still the same thing. This is just these numbers that form a pattern. This is our pattern right here. Okay, so we're just going to write it in table form. All right, and so one of the things that we had said, I'm going to write this back down. So one of the things that we had said was that you could just say, hey, I'm going to start at negative 30 and find your own pattern, and there's nothing wrong with that. Up until it gives you this right here, this a sub 39. That 39 right there says we wanted to take these numbers right here all the way to 39. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to extend my table all the way out to 39. That'd be a pain in the butt, right? And so what we're going to do instead is use the calculator, and we can just type in the number 39 right here. And this tells me that if I go out to do 39 of these, the 39th number will be 144, negative 144. So this right here will be a negative 144. So I need you to write this down. So a sub 39, so this a 39, which just means the 39th number in our pattern, is a negative 144. And like I said, that's much better than continuing this pattern 39 times. All right, and then we're going to introduce one new thing today, and that's this recursive formula. Okay, and once again, the recursive formula is stupid. Do not like it. But it does one thing for us. So it has this stupid nickname right here, okay, this n-1 nickname that's dumb. And then at the very end, you always put the difference. So this -3. And so what we want you to see is anytime you see this formula with this n-1 nickname, the only thing we care about is this at the back, this -3. And it's just telling me what the difference is. So we're going to make this a few times today just to try to get us used to this right here. But we don't use this formula for anything else and anything we do other than if it ever pops up, this is giving me the difference right there. So I don't want you stressed over that formula. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. How are we doing so far? Was everybody okay with our patterns here and everything? Doing good? Very good. All right. So let's take a look at number 2. Let's see what we got here. Very good, very good. All right, so number 2, first thing we're always going to do is start with the formula. We got a sub n equals, and then a1 is the -5. The difference would be -4, and then n-1. So we're just substituting a1 and the difference into our formula that we wrote up at the top of our paper. All right, and then once you have this formula, then we're going to go back and go to the Desmos, and we'll let the Desmos deal with everything else. So I am going to erase that right there so that we can see all this. All right, let's reload this. Nope, I'm going to erase this too. Okay. So we're going to type in y equals -5 minus 4 x minus 1. All right, and then we don't really care about the line. We want the table. So we're going to hit the settings button and click on table. And then we're going to continue. Let's see, I got some in the chat. Hey, Christian. So we got 3. Oh, click in there. So 3, not 3 again, 4 and 5. All right, so this is going to be our pattern right here, starting with -5. So -5. Oh, hold on a second, got a message. So I got to answer real quick. Oh, no, not answering it. Never mind. All right, so -5, -9, -13, -17, and -21. This is our pattern right here. So I will fill this in. So we got -5, -9, -13, -17, and -21. And you can tell here this is going by -4s. So that's our pattern. And then they want us to go to number 35. So we're going to click on the Desmos. And this is what you guys, so I know that you guys work with me, but at some point you want to just go practice this on your own and go try to see if you can extend your table and get this to 35, because this is what you'll be doing on a test. All right, so at 35, it's -141. I can't go back to number 1, but when I get done, I can redo number 1. So unfortunately, I've done too much for it to go back real easy. But I can go back and redo number 1. All right, so 135 was -141. And then our recursive formula was a sub n is equal to, so it's this really dumb formula. And the only thing we care about is at the end, it's got the difference, which would be -4. Like I said, we won't use this formula at all, other than if they give it to us in a problem and we see this n-1, we know that this right here is the difference. So this is telling me that we're subtracting 4 in our pattern. Okay, so I'm going to clear this, so if anybody is still writing, please let me know. All right. Clear that. All right, so we're just going to do question 3 right here. And then we're going to skip to technically the back page today. So like I said, we weren't just going to kill it today. All right. So we always start with that explicit formula, because this is what makes our lives easy if we know it. So a sub 1 is -37. And then the difference is a +10, so we'll put +10. And then n-1. You're too late on the draw. What's already going on? You got to get a little bit quicker there. So like I said, when I go back, I'll put that one up too, number 2. All right. So, so whenever we look at this right here is going to be what we put into the Desmos. So we're going to refresh this. All right, so we got y equals negative 37 plus 10, and then parentheses x minus 1. All right, so we don't care about this line right here. We want to go to our table. And I'm going to clear this for 1 second just so we can see our pattern. So we got 3, 4, and 5. So it's going, the negatives are going down by 10. And then, of course, when you go from the negative to the positive, then that right there is always kind of weird. But it is still going by 10. So let's go back and all right, so we got 1 was negative 37, 2 was negative 27, negative 17, 4 would be negative 7, and then 5 is 3. All right. And then we need to go find 27. So we're just going to go to the bottom, type in 27, and we get 223. So 223. And then, like I said, we'll write the recursive formula. This is going to be the last time today I'm going to write the recursive formula. We just want you to be a little bit familiar with this so that when you see this n minus 1, that all we care about is at the very end, this is the difference. So, unfortunately, they do put this on the STAR test sometimes. And so that's why we want to be able to see it. So instead of them saying that D is equal to 10, they'll give you this right here, and we just got to know that D is equal to 10 once we see it right here. And hopefully next week we'll see this. All right, so I'm going to pause here for a second. So if you're still writing, you need to let me know quickly so I don't erase it. You can always unmute yourself and let me know as well. Okay, nobody's saying anything. Okay, I'm going to clear it. All right. So now we're going to jump to the back side. And on this one, they're not going to give us A1 in the difference. We have to find them. Okay? And we're not going to do the recursive formula on these right here. So we're just going to do these, the A1, the difference. We're going to find the 28th one and write our formula. So the important thing with this 1 right here is that it is the very first term, the very first number in our pattern. So I would hope that this is very easy for you to find right now. Okay, this is just 22, the very first number in our pattern. So A1 is always that 1 right there, means that this is the first number in our pattern. All right, so then we're going to find the difference. Now, some of y'all can look at this and you know exactly what the difference is, and that's awesome. Some of us don't see patterns as well. And so if you ever need help trying to find the pattern, take the second number and minus the first. So 32 minus 22. And if you put that in the calculator, it'll give you 10. And so you can see here that this is going by tens. Hopefully y'all were able to see it anyways. All right, once you have A1 and the difference, now you can write your formula. So this is the only two things you need to write your formula. So now we're going to write our formula. A sub n is equal to 22 plus 10, and then n minus 1. Okay, you're going to go to the Desmos. So we'll refresh this. And we'll type in y equals 22 plus 10, parentheses x minus 1. All right, we're going to hit our settings button and go to table. I'm going to clear this for 1 second. And I don't need to extend this any, even though, just so that y'all see, this right here, 22, 32, 42, 52, does match our pattern right there, doesn't it? So just to show you that it does match. And then, so we're looking for 28. So 28 would be 292. So 28 would be 292. And like I said, we're not going to worry about the recursives. So. All right, is everybody doing good with that right there? Okay.
Don't erase it.
All right, I'm not erasing it. All right. So I want to give you a second to see if you can do sum of 8 on your own. And then I'm going to do it, and let's see if you get the right answer. Okay, so let's just give you a second. If nothing else, I hope you can identify A1. And then, like I said, if you can identify the difference, that's awesome. If you can identify both of those, then you should be able to make your formula. So I'm going to see real quick, did you get A1 was negative 10? And then when you looked at the difference, it is going by 10, but the negatives are getting bigger, so it's going by a negative 10. All right, so if you got those two, see if you can now write the formula. So the formula should be A sub n is equal to negative 10 minus 10 parentheses n minus 1. All right, so here's what I would like for you to do. This is going to be our last problem today. Okay? I would like for you to go to Desmos and plug this in and see if you can figure out what A38 is. If you want to stay on Zoom while you do it, in case you got any questions, that's fine. If you're like, oh yeah, I can do that on my own, then you're good. And you just need to go and do this on Desmos. And when you got your answer, then submit your picture. If you're like, I don't have a clue how to do this, then hang here for just a little bit and I will walk you through this again. Okay. Don't forget, if you are leaving me, that Monday is not a school day. It's a holiday. Praise the Lord. I need it. So we're not doing anything on Monday. And then hopefully y'all have a parent portal and you're checking your grades because today's the last day of the 6 weeks. So I'm just going to give you all a little bit of time so that if you are trying to minimize and do this, that y'all can do this real quick. And if you just have absolutely no clue, then here in a few minutes, I'll show you how to do it. I want to give y'all time to do this, or at least try. And then if you got questions. So remember that a sub n is y and the n is x. If you need help remembering how to find the Desmos calculator, just remember that you go type DESMOS and then calculator. And even if you misspell calculator, it'll bring it up. And then you just click on that graphing calculator and it'll look like this right here. So on a test, next week we have a test, and on the test, you have to be able to use the Desmos calculator. This is why we want to make sure if you got questions, you know, unmute, ask me, put it in the chat so that we can walk you through this. But we need you to physically be trying to type this into Desmos. All right, so hopefully you're doing this, but if not, okay, then what you should be doing, I'm going to go ahead and erase all this so that we can see the calculator. I'm hoping that you're doing this, but if not, that a sub n is y equals. So it's just like f of x, g of x, kind of anytime you see two letters together. And then we got minus 10, parentheses. And if you don't know how to get parentheses using your keyboard, then you click, there's a keyboard down at the bottom left that you can click and it will have parentheses for you. And then x minus 1. We don't care about the line. We want to see the table. This is the part where if you're never going to Desmos and you're never practicing with Desmos, then the day of the test, you're not going to know how to find table. And so that's why we want to make sure you're practicing. So you're going to hit this settings button, which looks like a circle, looks like a gear to me, but I don't know what y'all would call it. Jeff, what would you call that other than the settings button? Settings button would be how they would know it, right?
That's how I would know it, but I mean, it looks like it's like a cog or a spoke.
Yeah, I don't think they would know what that is.
No, I agree.
All right, so we click this button and you convert to table. So it looks like a T table right here. Okay, and then we are 38. So we're going to type in 38. And you got to.
Did you stop recording?
No. Do what? Did you say, did I stop recording?
Yeah, and my light's not on. It would normally was red on this side too.
Huh, I didn't think I did.
Uh-uh.
I'll have to look here in a second.
Oh, no, we're good. It's on the top left. It's up here.
Oh, okay, okay. So you got to go down to the bottom of the table. I don't think you can change. I've never really tried, but I don't think you can change those. And then we type 38, and we get negative 380. So That would be a negative 380.